welcome back to the Big Chief channel. Joining you today is myself, your host, Aaron Lee, as well as a very interesting, actually, he's been here for a few times, so, but still very interesting because we'll be talking about why you are suited to write your own book. Uh, Even though you might not think so. Because last week we have been covering why your book is an important tool for PR and marketing. And the week before that, we've been talking about a lot of benefits of actually writing your book yourself. But today, we want to enforce the confidence in yourself, where we want to tell you why you are suited to write your own book. So, without further ado, let's bring none other than John Tan up on stage with us today. Hello, John. How's it going?
Hi, very good, man. As usual, it's always great to be back.
Very, very good. Uh,
Now, to extend from what
mhm.
you said, Aaron, you gave a good background on what we have done so far. So, last week we talked about why you are writing this book
Mm.
because a lot of the time people hesitate, including myself. Last time I hesitated, and I, being a professional writer for advertising and so forth, and journalism, all that, I delay my first book. I
Mhm.
had outlined my first book. So last week we explored a very important topic is why you are writing this book. Yeah, just to
Mm.
backtrack because today we'll have bearing on last week. To backtrack, there are two very important areas that we have to deal with why you're writing this book. Number one is your intrinsic motivation, which we covered under the first two episodes. The 10 key reasons for you to not only write a book, that you must be an author. Learning from my past experience, why you must be an author. And the second key area is what is the purpose and value of the book. So once you establish that,
Mm.
you'll be very much confident. And later we even cover the subject of self-belief, self-imposter syndrome, imposter syndrome
Mhm.
and lack of self-esteem and all that in a further episode.
That's
Today
one.
we zero
That
in, yeah?
one's quite a trending one right now, right? The
Yeah,
imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's a very, very important topic. And just to preempt the future episode, imposter syndrome affects everyone, Aaron, everyone, including the very confident people in life.
Mhm.
At some point in life, for certain assignment, the imposter syndrome will play inside us, through the critical words. So today we zoom in, why you are qualified to write this book. But
Mhm.
the title is why you are suited. Because qualified can be a very frightening word to a lot of people. How am I qualified? I don't know that much, blah blah blah. You don't
Mhm.
need to know that much, because next week we'll cover a very, very important topic. Know your target audience. Who are you writing for? So you always match. There's no such thing as I am not qualified. You are qualified to write a book anytime, as
Yep.
long as you know what you are writing about with a purpose and value to the audience. And secondly, who exactly are you writing for? You are qualified, more than qualified. So today we explore the areas, how you can be qualified, and like the title, how you are suited to be the right person to write this book. Shall
Mhm.
we get
Let's
started? There are
let's
four
dive
pointers
into it.
I'd like to cover today.
Mhm.
Yeah, just overview first before we go through one by one, through
Sure.
your question, of course. The four pointers are your knowledge and experience could come from academic or professional, whatever profession you are in. But if you are not a professional anymore, you have gained that qualification, it is still with you. Third is, if you're still doing what you have been doing, you're a practitioner, you're practicing what you're doing. So it's beyond academic and just professional and practitioner. But the fourth factor is very, very interesting. Your personal cognitive. Now, this word is seldom used. CONATIVE. CONATIVE. It refers to your intrinsic qualities. Yeah? Your intrinsic qualities, like your passion, what do you like, what are your interests, what are you inclined. Just like we say, let's say we see Aaron in an action scenario, that's very Aaron. So that's your cognitive values coming out. Everyone has their own personal cognitive elements, all right? So which one would be more important, you think, Aaron, out of the four?
Out of the four, I think the personal cognitive elements.
Yeah, that one is the most important. Of course, you can back it up with some
Mm.
academic support. If your book touches on certain claims, professional, definitely you've been there, you've done it. That's why all professionals should write a book, all trainers should write a book because you are professional and practitioner, right? But you pick the right one, number four, because it all starts with what do you really like to do? What do you do well? And of course, part of cognitive is if you have passion and you are very diligent and very savvy in doing something, that means what you do very well. But you also need a third factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does the world need it? Can it be commercialized? So
Mm-hmm.
of course, when you talk about writing a book, it can be commercialized. No doubt, we may not have a major reason of wanting to sell a lot of books and make money from the book. In fact, the episode 3 onwards, we pick on the third key reason is to use your book as a PR or marketing tool. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you are a professional and wanting to write something professional or business or work, or what we call motivating, inspiring, the non-fiction. Yeah, or you could be a housewife, someone who has retired or not in the corporate world, but you have something interesting to share with the world. So that part, no matter what we write about, even if it's a special interest not relating to work, business, or entrepreneurship per se, you need an audience, right? You may not want to make money from selling the book, but definitely you want to build a community, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one area a lot of people miss out. I'm not selling the book. Then what is your passion about? Yeah, when the person has a passion, it naturally means that you have your network, you would like to build your community, right? That much I want to say. So let's use the subject which I used last week so that we can have continuity. The book I'm talking about, I was talking about, and will be talking for the rest of the episode, as I said, for continuity, is about charismatic public speaking. All right. So out of these four pointers, academic, professional, practitioner, personal, cognitive, I have all four. It is not necessary to have all four in your favor, as
Mm-hmm.
you, Aaron,
Mm-hmm.
pointed out very well, personal, cognitive. And after all, as long as you give reference to a claim you make, or example, though if you just make the speech with just words, it's only 7% effective, and so forth and so forth. You can make research and reference, that's your okay, right? So how would I use this to justify I'm the right person? By the way, why do I need to justify as part of the pre-planning that I am the right person? I'm qualified for two reasons. One is to assure myself that I have the self-confidence to do it because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of authors start and then they trail off. They never finish a book, The other reason I'm the right person to do this book is to assure the audience that you are reading a book or going to read a book by someone who has been through it all. So this is a two-edged sword. Huh? That
You gotta
self
write with conviction, right?
Yeah, self conviction got to be very strong. That's why
Hmm.
part of this pre-preparation, we haven't even gone to how to write a book yet. The why is very important. Why you write the book? Why
Hmm.
I am suited to write a book? And next week, why you're writing to this target audience, and so forth and so forth. Right? So that's very very important. So when I write this book, I will make sure that I use a lot of real experience. Yeah? And then if I were to give speeches as example inside there, I possibly have a link to me actually performing the speech. And those comes under later we cover in one episode, readers tools to engage the audience, and also it's for credibility. Yeah? It's useless talking about or guiding people how to speak well when we don't show real examples, isn't it? Yeah, so that will come from my practitioner experience. Then I'll share some key fundamentals which I've learned from other professionals. So the professional factor also comes in, isn't it? And then I would also talk about only speak on subjects, public speaking, that you're passionate about. Like you use the word your conviction.
Hmm.
It's so important to you. You believe it in so much. Your whole body language and your vocal tonality and the way you organize the speech will come very
Yeah.
naturally, and people
Yeah.
can tell when someone is passionate about the subject or not.
Yeah.
Of course, the academic aspect also come out. A speech must have key value, then content must be well researched, high quality, and then structured, easy to follow, where I will give some backup justification why an effective speech should have key value, quality of the key value, quality of content, research must be done. By the way, personal experience can be considered as research as well.
Hmm.
And then easy to follow structure. And then when you illustrate a pointer, tell a personal experience. Better still, a personal story,
Hmm.
right? And when I talk about personal story, I'm going to go into my practitioner experience because I've been in mainstream advertising for a number of years, and we tell story even before now. Storytelling is like the buzzword. We've been telling
Yeah.
story through print, it means a written advertisement, or video we call TV commercial, and so forth. So it's a mixture of all those factors: academic, professional, practitioner, and personal cognitive. So this justifies to myself
Hmm.
I am the right person to write this book. And as I said, this gives assurance to whoever is reading or going to buy the book. You are in the right hands of the person who knows what he or she is talking about.
Yeah.
Back to what I was saying, everyone is qualified your book. That is what I want to say. Everyone is qualified to write a book. But please go through this exercise, put it down on paper, type it out, then you reassure yourself that you are the right person. Because while you may not want to sell a lot of books, because this segment so far we are focusing on making your writing books, book writing or authoring, as a PR and marketing tool. So to do that, you need to do pre-marketing. So that's why this piece of document, you mind map it out and look at it carefully, internalize, feel so much confidence, that tomorrow morning you wake up, you want to do it, and you won't go through what we call writer's block and all that. But should you, this is again incentive, a mind blowing motivator that you will do it. Huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people give up when writing a book, and that's why this document is very very important.
True.
Yeah. Question from your side?
Well, I think for this episode, I think most of the challenges are actually internal. Like the battle over here is basically a battle of your own mind. You know,
Yeah.
you're going against yourself, taking the first step. It's a lot about that. So
Mm.
I want to touch a little bit on what if you are a person who, let's say you have a lot of experience, but you don't have the academics, you don't have the professional realm. All you have is experience. Is that enough to write a book? And on
Yeah,
the
that's
converse side, sorry,
mm.
and
Go
conversely, if
ahead.
let's say you don't have any experience, but you only have academics, and you only have one aspect, is that let's say you have four, a quadrant, of four, is it enough to just have one, or do you need a mixture?
You would need the mixture of all four, but
Mm-hmm.
the factors need not come from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We can leverage on other people. We can leverage on, like example, worst come to worst, you have all the experience, as you said, the knowledge, but you're not trained enough to be a very, very persuasive author. You can get a ghost writer,
Mm-hmm.
or better term is a shadow writer, right? And people do that a lot. People do that a lot, including the very famous ones, because not everyone is gifted to write very well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but a book is not about writing very well. It's
Mm-hmm.
about substance, isn't it? Substance and style.
Now, when you
So,
talk about substance, right? Oh,
mm,
just really briefly, I think this is a provoking question.
yeah,
Basically, I'm not sure if you've heard, but I think it's quite possible for people, and it's quite easy for someone to just take a book that has been written in the past and
mm.
paraphrase the whole book and call it yours, and then yeah.
There are people doing that, but we popularly use the term rehash, lah.
Rehash, yes.
REHASH,
Yeah.
and it is possible. That's already not total plagiarism, but considered in the territory of plagiarism. But the thing is, will the book do well?
Maybe, maybe.
It could be, because if they are
Depends on your
not
marketing.
exposed to the original book, isn't it? So that's a
Yeah,
very good observation.
yeah.
But the thing is this: if you can go to sleep with that type of approach, why not? Isn't it?
Fair enough.
As long as don't claim on the cover or in the forward, all original content. As long as you don't claim, that's okay.
Fair
Because
enough.
later in a later episode, I will give example of my own experience how I come up with the contents page.
Right.
So
Well,
now is a
speaking
good
about
time to
content, right? There's
uh,
there's so many ways to create content. I know
yeah,
that.
now is a good time to touch base with that,
Mm-hmm.
because whatever subject, like myself, I'm writing this book, charismatic public speaking. The keyword is charismatic from the word charisma. Right? If
Mm-hmm.
it's just public speaking, I'm sure there are thousands of books written on that subject, isn't it? Right?
That's right.
Even charismatic public speaking, some years ago I checked, no one has that title.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you never know. It doesn't matter. You can tweak it a bit. But what I like to share is this: even at this stage, you decide and make a declaration that you are qualified, suited to write this subject. Go into the contents page
Mm-hmm.
online.
Mm-hmm.
The many portals with selling books. Of course, Amazon is the best bet to go. I just go there, lots and lots, thousands, if not millions of books. Go on that subject, observe the content.
Mm-hmm.
then you have a good idea. But back to what you're saying, what if a person is, I paraphrase, not good enough to write, lack the confidence to write, not the Pulitzer Prize or Booker Prize at the kind of level, but the person just doesn't feel good enough, like just like singing, Aaron. You go to YouTube or this American Got Talent or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Some newcomers can sing better than the established pop stars, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
It
So
happens
so
so
it's
many times.
sometimes so sometimes it's about your self-estimation, your self-esteem that you're not good enough, isn't it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go observe the contents page, you get idea, get started. The other way is if you don't use a ghostwriter or shadow writer, is you just write and then you engage a professional editor.
Mm.
They could
Now,
go
does that
through
cost a lot?
depending on the level of the editor.
Do you think that it's something that you can work as a percentage base? Like
Yes, you can work
sit
on
on
a
sales.
percentage base,
Mm-hmm.
or you could. The third option is you would be a co-author,
Mm.
a co-author. Like Robert Kiyosaki wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad and a few
Yeah.
more finance-oriented subject. His name is big, but there's a second writer there who is a financial expert.
Mm-hmm.
So you big name with a co-author.
Mm.
That's possible. So there are three possibilities, right? And it all starts with we covered last week declaring your intention that you want to author this book as a PR marketing tool. You can really open doors for your business. And then later, as we covered last week, you arrange business oriented, work oriented talks on your subject,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get yourself recognized through invitation at public events or through the media, and so forth and so forth. You can even become a columnist, a guest writer.
Mm-hmm.
Online have lots and lots and lots of possibilities, Aaron. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that many of us, including myself last time, we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do so much work. We
Yeah.
expect things to just work out very well.
Yeah.
Not a fair dream, right? So
Natural.
yeah, it's so natural that you just write a book. Wow, it will sell by itself. You got to gain a reputation first, right? Mm.
But then having too much of that thought will then stop you from writing the book. So it's kind of like a balance, right?
Uh, Too much or what?
Too much of too much of having too much of what's it called? Like you looking into yourself and the doubt.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
don't. That's why I earlier said I actually started to output books only when the e-book became fashionable.
Mm.
Because last time you do through traditional publishing is not everyone get accepted. Not even based on average what I've read, not even 1% of all the potential authors will get their book selected by traditional publishing houses, right? I only started when ebook became fashionable,
Mm-hmm.
not when ebook started. Ebook started 30, 40 years ago when internet started, right? It's only in the 2000 plus era that it became fashionable. And 10 years ago, it became legitimate and even overtaken the sale of the hard copy, at one time.
Ah, yeah, yeah, that's true.
So I started late. I started late. So the people who haven't started got to get started. More so the current newer generation, the Gen Y, Gen Z, and future generation. Self-publishing is legitimate and respectable. How do we justify respectable and legitimate? The bookstore, brick and mortar bookstore, would like to represent and sell your book. So how more legitimate and respectable can we get, right?
That's right.
Uh, so don't look inside too much. Don't look inside too much. So
Just
important
do it.
thing is just do it like last week. Declare your intention. And then this one, you see, I have my mind map all ready, and I keep it to remind myself that you got to have your passion being on fire all the time. You have the talent, you have the skills, proficiency, you have the exposure, academic, professional, practitioner, personal, cognitive, whatever, whatever. I have insight, I have wisdom. No matter what, you work out your own mantra lah, that you
Yeah.
are. Uh, because every human being, good time, high time, we charge like the bull, right? But when just like everyone, we have our downtime, and I, should I continue? Then
Mm.
you bring up this mantra and remind yourself. Lah. But otherwise, as you rightly say, don't go inward so much.
Yeah.
Just do it, and after all, you're not intending to make it a $1 million bestseller in terms of selling books. Just get started.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get started.
Well
To a
put.
schedule, of course. To a schedule,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Well, that's why we had made this series
Mm.
in this order, because past few weeks we already had mentioned
Yeah.
what what the intention of your book is, right?
What is your intention? Declare your
Yeah.
intention. Who
From
you are writing for,
correct.
and the
Correct.
subject you are writing on. What is the purpose? Yeah?
Mm.
And then what is the value to the targeted audience? Although next week we go deeper into the targeted audience,
Yeah.
the emotions, the psychology, and so forth. So once we have that clear intention clear, the rest will follow.
Mm, fair enough. Fair enough. I think next week will be pretty interesting when we look into who how to identify our target audience and all that kind of thing.
Next week will be very, very, very interesting because we got to go into the dream point, the pleasure point, the pain point of the audience. Very specific.
Very nice. Very nice.
Mm.
Now, John, since we are nearing the time for us to leave,
Hmm.
would you like to share a few last words before we go?
Yeah, my final words will be this. Many people, myself included, whether writing a book or going to certain activity, we expect the first try to be the best. If we can put that aside and just do your best possible, and if it doesn't do as well as I expected, do a second one, do a third one. That will take out a lot of stress
Yeah.
from the human body system, and you don't wake up, should I do it? Should I continue? All humans are like that. All humans.
True.
I suffered from that as well. What if this first book doesn't so work so well? How do I look myself in the mirror? How would my friends address me? I can tell you this much. While there are some very sarcastic people in the world, while there are trolls on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
there's still a lot of good people on earth who won't
Fair.
make fun of you if your
Mm-hmm.
first book doesn't work out as well.
Yep.
That
Well,
is my final say. Just get started and get the first book out.
very good, very good. I guess you can also say or ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah, what's gonna happen? You're going to write another book, but chances are, if the book doesn't do very well and does not manifest the side income out of the book, you can do training on that. You can give speeches on that. You can
There are
be a
still
columnist.
many
You can, yeah,
opportunities
go on
behind it.
TV
Yeah.
channel, online or physical. If
Mm.
that is not bringing in the money, then it's the marketing and PR is not working. Not
Mm.
the writer.
Fair enough.
That
Fair
much I
enough.
can say from experience.
And with that, shall conclude our today's episode. Once again, we want to thank the audience for stopping by. It is your viewership that keeps us going. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Again, a quick reminder that we are live every 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 8. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. How, everyone, and bye bye.
How? All right.